Hey, it's Jeff Greenberg, and I want to talk to you about that new piece of software, one of the two new pieces of software that came with that huge production premium suite, and that's Adobe Prelude. Prelude is a preprocessor, if you will, a prelude before you go to edit, and it works great in this world of file-based media. Let's take a look here. Let's start a new Prelude project. And I'm going to put this project on my desktop. Now, I would probably tell you to put it on your media drive, but in this case, this is where I'm putting all my Scratch stuff. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to call this something like Prelude Workflow. Obviously, you would pick a better name than this. Now, there are 4 buttons across the top of the interface, and I'm just going to go right to that top one there on the left, called Ingest. And here we happen to have a drive list, and this should feel very much like the media browser in Premiere Pro. With this, I can go ahead and I can say, find my desktop. Now, I could drill right down up here in the top left. I can just go to my home directory, and I can go ahead and choose my desktop here. Right here's my desktop. And you'll see I've got 2 P2 cards as well as some red footage. I'm going to open up this P2 card folder here a moment. You can see right away, I can look at this as a list, but I think it's a little bit more useful to look at it as thumbnails. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this here on my screen a little bit. I'm going to scale this up. Now, we have Hover Scrub, that wonderful feature that lets me go ahead and scrub through my footage before I've ever brought it in. This way it becomes very easy for me to select multiple clips, say check all, and say, oh wait, I looked through this clip and I'm not really happy with it. I could uncheck it. Really, all we have to do is go ahead and say ingest. We've got a couple more steps I want to talk about. Let's take a look at the other P2 card. Again, this idea that I can scrub through these with Hover Scrub is really wonderful, as well as change the frame size. That you find these too large. I can even look at red footage. Here's this really cool piece of red footage, as well as looking at directories full of footage. Prelude becomes a great way for you to look at it and then do something special here. I'm going to check all of these. I want to transfer them to a specific spot. I don't want them to stay on this P2 card. I'm going to say I'd like you to transfer them, and now I can pick where they should transfer and how they should be transferred. So let's first pick a position. I'm going to say here I'm going to put them onto my media drive. Now I'm going to put them into my desktop. On my desktop here, I'm just going to create a folder called From Prelude. You should probably make this based on your project name. I'm going to say choose, and now everything's going to be transferred there. It's also going to be put in a folder with today's date. I'm just going to remove everything past that. And I can say, I'd like you to verify this. Could you please check it based on the file size or the file content, whichever you prefer. I'm happy with all that. You know, this is media. This is media from a card, and if I'm going to do this, I'm probably going to add a destination and create a second copy to somewhere else, a different drive. I'm going to go ahead here and put on my external drive. I'm going to say in my card backups, I'd like to make a second copy there. And you'll see that I'm going to transfer this to my primary destination, but I'm also going to put a copy to my second destination at the same time. The beauty here is you, of course, are going to end up with your footage ingested in 2 different spots, meaning you have a backup. With this being set, I'm going to say check all these files, and I'm going to say ingest. Prelude, starting in the bottom left corner, is copying, ingesting those clips. They're going to appear in the project panel as they get copied, and they're going to, of course, be made a backup at the same time. I'm going to go ahead here and switch out through the Finder for a moment. You can see in my card backups that P2 cards, its exact contents were transferred across, meaning that as far as my computer is concerned, that's a P2 card. This same thing was put on my desktop in my copied folder. I probably would like these to live in a bin. I might call them something like Card 1 Desert. I'm going to select all my clips here, throw them in there. I can click on any clip. If I double click on it, it'll open up below is a timeline. It's not a sequence. It's just the timeline for that individual clip. This will become useful in another movie or two when we talk about things like adding markers and subclipping. And I just want you to see as I double click here, we can look at a couple of them. I want to save, of course, this. I don't need to. It's been saved. I want to send this over, this card, to Premiere Pro. I already have Premiere Pro open. I'm going to go ahead and say send to Premiere Pro. We go over to Premiere Pro, the card has come across, we've got the clips in there, and we're ready to start editing. So the beautiful thing here is that I use Prelude to pre-process everything, and then at the end I can go to, even if it's a different system, open up the Prelude project and say send just the files I want over to Premiere Pro where they become live.